Good evening, sir, and thank you so much for your time. Why did you feel you needed to take this matter to court?
Well, we have been in contact with the municipality over time, and these matters have been with us since around 2010 at different levels. And we believe that we are now at a situation where we needed to take the next step, because it is not just ourselves who are concerned. We know that even the Human Rights Commission has given an indication of its own thoughts around the matter. So we had to respond to the issues as raised by the Human Rights Commission, but also so that we can be able to continue to do the work that we have to do as part of our
Since 2010 is about 8 years ago, and it seems that until the Human Rights Commission got involved in this process, there really wasn't much being done. Why did you allow so much time to pass before you were fully committed to ensuring that they upheld to their side of the deal in terms of those water treatment plants?
In fact, we have been seized with the matter since then, and we have been through a number of processes, including particularly the Intergovernmental Relations Act, determines how we need to be dealing with one another as different spheres of government. Basically to make sure that even before we get to where we are, because I think even if the Human Rights Commission was not involved, we would have had to get here, because we have had interaction with them. We have had action plans that have been given to us that have not been able to respond to the situations as before us. We have issued pre-directives as well as directives that have not been fully responded to. So all of those things have been processes, and if you look at it, we are basically saying there are 4 primary wastewater treatment works that from at different times are in different states.
So basically, if I understand you correctly, you are saying that under the ANC administration, your directives as the water department were ignored, and the same is continuing under the DA administration.
Not necessarily ignored, but possibly not been fully responded to. That is why before we get to a directive, you do a pre-directive so that we can be able to say these are the things that we identify. And if those are not attended to, then we get to the directive, which obviously is a higher source. But obviously we are saying the municipality, notwithstanding who has been running it, has been in that space since 2010.
It's not the only municipality that has had these problems. In Mpumalanga, we have municipalities such as the Nkomazi municipality that also have issues of clean water and sewage spillage. Are you taking those to court?
We are all of them are at different stages. So obviously, depending on where we are in process, it will determine what the next step is.
But it certainly doesn't make sense when one looks at the crisis that has been created in the Vaal, that so much time can pass to a point where a situation now requires even the intervention of the army, and you as the department watch it deteriorate and say, well, we'll only press the panic button at the next process. Why are you not accelerating those processes so that the various crises which have the potential of becoming bigger than what they are get to that point?
In essence, that is not the correct assessment, because if you look at even what has been happening in the Vaal, and when you look at the issue of the Vaal, by the way, it is not just one municipality. It is a number of municipalities that are ultimately impacted on that. And if you look at it, we have been in touch with the situation even when it was
Yes, but you were compelled by court orders. Organizations like Save the Vaal took you to court. There were various court orders that were issued.
If you allow me to come back
to
this, is that if you go back a few years ago, where if we even set aside an amount of money that was supposed to assist the municipalities to look at bringing their wastewater treatment works to par, because we were looking at not just the one municipality, because when we were looking at the municipalities in Dennisville at the time, it then indicated to us that actually there are more municipalities that are in the same situation, and that is where we actually are coming in. You must remember that in essence, the maintenance of those wastewater treatment works does not necessarily lie with us, but from a regulatory point of view, we have that responsibility, and that is the responsibility we've been discharging at different levels.
But of course, the work of the South African Human Rights Commission is the one that has really been pushing you to follow through on ensuring that you exercise some of that regulatory work.
I'll go back to this and say this is the one example, but it is not the basic fact throughout the country. And that is why we've been able to identify the backlog in terms of maintenance of infrastructure within municipalities that is at a very high level and a critical level that can lead to the situation that we are in. And obviously, it is not something that we can be able to do on our own. That is why we need to be in the midst of the Intergovernmental Relations Act, and in terms of the dispute resolution facets thereof, we must be able to engage not just with the municipalities, but with COCTA, with SALGA, and so on, so that we can be able to bring all of those. The issue of the VAL is obviously one of those that was the biggest that we have had to see, and that is why we've been able to bring that in.
Yes, I think that the bigger point that I'm raising here is the fact that you allow such a big passage of time before you then go to court. And I think that even the Tshwane situation is perhaps a unique situation on its own. But the fact that the South African Human Rights Commission has to be called in to investigate these various complaints that are laid in different municipalities over the quality of water, surely before it gets to the Human Rights Commission, these are complaints more often than not that have been raised with you, and that those who are laying the complaints feel that they certainly haven't received a satisfactory response. So what I'm saying is, does it need to get to the Human Rights Commission before you as the Water Affairs Department actually ensure that those issues that have been raised are dealt with?
Basically, if I'm to respond directly to that, we can be aware that it is not just the one time when the Human Rights Commission is involved that we've come in. That is why it is not all the municipalities where the Human Rights Commission is involved. But when you look at the amount of work that we do across the country, it is much bigger than what it is being cited right now. And therefore, it is not just about the Human Rights Commission. It is not just about other complainants. It is about the work that we do on an ongoing basis in our regulatory responsibility. And that is part of the work that is a daily thing that happens with us.
But are you going to be taking the municipalities that are not adhering to whatever regulations are there? Will you be dealing with those matters quicker?
We are dealing with those matters, and we are dealing with them step by step as required by the law, and we are dealing with them as quickly as we can be able to do. Obviously, where we are not finding joy, then we must get to the highest level of intervention that we can find.
But as it stands, you feel that whatever interventions you have in place are satisfactory?
They're not completely satisfactory. That is why we have to be looking at how we can be able to work together with other levels of other spheres of government, how we can be able to better work with the municipalities themselves, how we can be able to better educate all of us within the sector to be able to do the right thing.
All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see whether or not the court action actually will get a positive response from the City of Tshwane. We'll also follow up with them to find out why they haven't been complying satisfactorily to what the issues that you've raised with them. That was the Department of Water and Sanitation's spokesperson, Sputnik Ratau.